Hey guys, welcome back to According To. I'm Megan.
And I'm Ciera. For this week's episode, Megan and I are going to dive into the topic of perception and how it relates to like us specifically as people who present ourselves online. We are also just people, and everyone has to deal with perceptions of other people based on how they post themselves on social media or how they interact with others throughout the day, through their life. And we just thought we would go kind of down a rabbit hole of like perception, what it means to us. We asked you guys to participate in this episode by...
I haven't looked at any of those
I
yet.
haven't looked at
Are you guys going to look at... I was like, are you guys going to hurt my feelings?
Right.
But I'm assuming if you're not a hate watcher, then you maybe kind of like us. Even if you have like some constructive criticisms.
Yeah. We asked you guys to like let us know how you perceive us. And we can talk about like other people we follow online and like just... We'll go through a whole rabbit hole, I feel like. Before we dive into the bulk of the episode, we'd like to chat with you guys, talk about what's been going on in our lives. And I feel like we have a few things to share. So, what's your weekly spotlight?
I would say, let's see, what did we even do this past weekend? Not
I worked.
much. You worked. I did feel like Sunday was like a good reset kind of Sunday, actually. Like
we had a good productive
we
day.
did a lot of like cleaning, and I felt like I got a lot of that stuff done like early in the morning, which like I love that. I love when there's just like things like laundry, cleaning my bathroom, cleaning the whole main floor. I like to get done as early as possible. And I didn't work out Sunday, at least in the morning, because I had finished my workout Saturday. So I was like, okay, we just get this done. And I got it done. And I got to do like a little bit of errands and whatnot. I have been continuing, and I can like, this will be my first open discussion with you guys. I think I've
the debrief.
mentioned
the TikTok series.
So I've been posting a lot more on TikTok. It's been going well. I've been really enjoying it, and I knew eventually if I like kind of found or got into the rhythm of posting,
You're developing
I would
an
find
audience.
the things that would work for me. I am going to get there in a second. But I'm also like just saying I feel pretty comfortable vlogging. TikTok has been a space where I haven't always felt like the most comfortable posting, but I feel like I'm kind of getting more the hang of like just being on there, less like structured, and like I'll do like a sit down and chat thing. I'll answer questions, and then I have my more structured content. So I've been enjoying it. All that to say, I have been doing a little series on there. It's technically only 2 parts, but there is kind of like a third video that's highly correlated
offshoot,
with
if you
the
will.
series.
How's that video doing now?
It's at 96,000 views.
Dang.
I thought it had kind of a lull, and then it seems like today it maybe has picked up a little bit again. The idea is me trying to meet men in the wild, and just documenting my experience with doing that. And the purpose of it, the goal of it, is to like be relatable. I feel like there's a lot of women, particularly our age, that just like have gone through very similar situations, who don't like to use the dating apps, are trying to have their own little meet cutes if possible. So I've been documenting that process. I've not had a lot of good luck with it yet, so it is kind of, in the works. My most recent one was more so, and I'm getting a lot of great feedback. Like all of this, I'm getting good feedback. I like that I'm attracting a mostly female audience who's for the most part giving me like actual genuine tips or things that they think are helpful, and then also just like commiserating with me. So I enjoy that. However, I feel as though for me personally, I kind of need to take a step back a little bit from the series, I think, and maybe be a little bit less like in the moment with it. I like
maybe
that
it's
initially,
an after the fact.
But now I'm kind of like, I don't want to. It's twofold, because there's 2 things. This series has been making it more prominent in my mind that like, oh, I need to try and like put myself out there and do more. But I don't want to tread into a space where I'm kind of like just trying to do things for the sake of the content and trying to get the content. So that being said,
it's like towing the line between like documenting real life and like what's happening versus like producing it.
Yeah.
It's like reality TV where it's like, well, it's real, but like I need to make a show out of it.
So my hope is to kind of continue doing some of these things behind the scenes and like trying to do the same things I'm doing in the series, but like not for the sake of being recorded. And then if something were to happen or I have an update I want to give you guys, then like I can always come back to the camera and do that. But I just think I need to like take a step back for just a moment.
Be for real.
And like you know, not every single, especially because like right now it's been such a low stakes series. There's been little to no progression, and so I'm kind of like, I might as well wait right now to have something to report, and then, you know, go from there. So I don't know if that will be just like, I don't know if I wait all the way till like I actually have a date set up and I'm like, get ready with me for a first date, and then I could do a debrief there, or if it is something kind of like, I did my first like in-person interaction, here's how it went. I'm not sure yet to what level, but I just think I need to like wait until after the fact, and then I'll get back to you guys. If any of that sounds interesting to you at all, my TikTok is Ciera Stitz 1. Follow along on the journey of me trying to meet people not on dating apps.
Should I share my weekly spotlight? I was like, is that what we were going off of? My weekly spotlight's Tuesday as we're recording this. I had shorter work days both today and yesterday, which was kind of nice. I had a busy week last week, and so it was nice to just like be done a little bit earlier. I have a grievance to share with the class.
Okay.
So I am coming up on my BLS, which is Basic Life Support certification, getting expired. It expires at the end of this month. And I have no qualms with getting like recertified. I know it's not like the class and the information itself is not crazy difficult. Like they basically guarantee that you're going to pass it. That stuff doesn't bother me. What bothers me is how many like scams there are out there, or like how confusing it is to try to get recertified. Because I'm going on like American Heart Association, Red Cross, like these reputable
with how often
sources.
This comes up, it's crazy that it's only once every 2 years.
Right. Like this is only my second time doing this. But why do I feel like I've done this a million times? And so I'm like, okay, I need to get recertified by the end of this month, because if you're unfamiliar, if you've been certified, you can do like a slightly shortened course to just get recertified before yours expires. And so it saves you a little bit of money, and then it saves you time as well. And so I'm looking up this stuff, and there's like scams online basically where it's like, oh, online only, like 100% online program to get your BLS certification. That, at least for healthcare providers, is not a thing. You have to have a skills check off to show that you can like actually perform CPR and like do the AED stuff. So I'm like, okay, well, I can't do that because it's not real. And the stuff that I'm looking at for American Heart Association, Red Cross, whatever I decided to do, it's confusing because it's like, well, this is BLS, but I'm like, is it just full BLS or is it the recert? And then the locations can be kind of weird. I think I figured out, I think I had maybe mentioned this before, possibly last time I had to do this. 2 years ago. But I was like sketched out because you could like seemingly go to people's houses to get certified. And I was like, that's kind of sketchy. Come to find out, and I don't think this is what I'm actually doing, so I won't be able to update you guys, but I am fairly certain that you can get, like, you can become an instructor and do it from anywhere, aka you could do it from your house.
There's and they just side hustle.
Need to, like, they have the equipment and like the testing books and stuff, and like you pay them. I'm sure they have to like have a cut shared with someone like Red Cross or something. I don't know. But like they can certify you, I think, from their home. I don't think that's what I'm doing. But I found, supposedly, I'll update you guys on Saturday. I'm doing my recertification on Saturday morning. Hopefully.
Okay. Book updates. I am still reading The Ashes of the Star-Cursed King, and the Star-Cursed King. I am, however, picking up the pace a bit. I wouldn't particularly say I'm in a reading slump anymore. We are slowly moving forward. I'm about 50% of the way through the book. But it's a long book, okay? It's like 600 pages almost. So bear with me. And I know, I'm trying to remember like what all I thought this series reminded me of before. Because I'm like, I'm sure it reminded me of Powerless, ACOTAR. I'm getting ACOTAR vibes again too. Like, I mean, that's what's kind of drawing me in again. As I get started, I'm reading more, so then I'm reading more of the book. And then it's like picking up more. And I'm just like, it still is giving me
like, I love fantasy
ACOTAR vibes. And I love ACOTAR. So that's been fun, and I'm actually like committed to reading more of the book now. And then
is it a trilogy? But then like the last one's not out yet.
Yeah, but the last one's not out. So
I plan to read that at some point here soon. I'm currently reading A Novel Love Story by Ashley Poston, or Post, I don't know how you say her last name. Right now I'm in the 3.5 star range, I think. Like, it's getting more interesting, and I think I might see where it's going now, but it was a very slow-paced beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I need the romance to pick up a little bit faster, but I think we're getting there.
Okay.
I definitely, like, it's not nearly as good as the 7 Year Slip. The 7 Year Slip was so good.
We were chatting. It's been a little bit upsetting. We've had, like, some highly, highly anticipated reads coming out recently, and I feel as though a lot of them have been falling a little bit short. So I read A Funny Story by Emily Henry. Ciera hasn't read that one yet. I think I still gave it 4 stars, but it was probably, like, it was definitely on, like, the lower ranking of my favorite Emily Henry books. And that's hard to say because Emily Henry has amazing books. But, like, now that she's up so high on a pedestal, it's like you expect perfection from her.
Mm-hmm.
And then just for the summer, I actually would say it was, like, pretty even keel with, like, what I was expecting versus what I got. I did like that book. Reckless we haven't read yet. Reckless by Lauren Roberts. But I keep hearing just, like
mild letdown.
Yeah.
And maybe other people are, like, hyping it up so much. Like, maybe it's going to be similar. I haven't yet read Divine Rivals, but maybe it'll be kind of the same thing for you where it's like, I know a lot of people loved Powerless, like, more than we did. And don't get me wrong, I loved it. But then, like, the second book, I feel like they were anticipating so much that then, like,
it was a letdown.
It is a letdown.
So
I feel like I'm staying pretty, like, I don't have crazy expectations. Like, I'm just ready to see where the story goes.
Mm-hmm.
I also didn't read the novella Powerful because I'm like, no offense, I don't care about the other character that it's about.
And then what was another, I mean, I guess A Novel Love Story was the other kind of highly anticipated read. I will actually say, upcoming, recently released book that I'm suggesting for our book club as my pick for this week, well, like when we meet this week, their 4th book in the Windy City series was just released, and it's called Play Along, and that has really good reviews still, actually, and it's like at 20,000 ratings now, and I think it's at 4.6 something.
Dang.
So it's got like a really good reviews, and we haven't yet
to read romance.
We haven't yet read romance in the book club, so I kind of feel like what a perfect opportunity.
It is time,
and it's on Kindle Unlimited, and everyone's getting their Kindles.
Could be a good time for it.
It could be. We have, like, not as many people are going to be at book club though. We've got a couple of people missing, so
it'll be good though. We're planning on doing cold cuts, kind of.
Cold cuts this time.
Other updates. Yesterday, there was a storm that went through Des Moines and, like, other parts of Iowa and possibly, like, into other parts of the Midwest. I don't really know.
Derecho.
We were warned of derecho-like conditions throughout the day, and then the storm was supposed to come in the evening. So Megan and I are, like, looking outside. It looks kind of like, we can see clouds rolling in. The sky did turn green a little bit, which is typically, like, a sign of bad weather. But really all it did where we're at is rain. And so I was like, they were hyping it up for no reason.
Ciera went and walked Vegas afterwards because it cleared up. No, like, debris or anything, really.
No, totally fine. And granted, I didn't, like, hop on the news or anything right after. And, like, I have a news app on my phone that I wasn't really on. But I just feel like I would have heard something from someone, or, like, someone in our family, I feel like, would have said something if there had been anything major. And I'm in bed. It is 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock at night.
And then Megan comes into my room saying, hey, Haley just called me, and Dad's house was, like, damaged from, it was a tornado that went through the area. And so we were like, oh, should we go help?
Yeah. And so
it was an EF1, so it was like a low-key tornado.
The reason that we didn't find out about it, because the storm happened at like 5 or 6, but our dad was busy at babysitting, and so he was not at his house when the storm passed. So he gets home later that night. That's why we ended up going over so late. At first, because Haley had called me. She's the one that called and was like, Dad called me saying that, like, his house has a bunch of damage, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, we're going to head over there. I don't know what you guys want to do. And I was kind of like, what do I want to do? But it's one of those things where it's like, obviously it's not convenient, but I was kind of like, I do kind of feel like I need to, like, show up and help out.
Show up for my people, I guess.
So I called my dad. At first he didn't answer because I was like, he's probably busy. I'm sure he's skedaddling around his house right now, just
And boy,
trying-
was he skedaddling. I
he
think
was
the first
he was
10 or
doing
15 minutes we
exactly
were there,
what I thought
he was just
doing.
walking around not doing anything.
Yeah. And so eventually, before we left our house, he called me back. I was like, do you need a seat, anything? Like, what can I do to help out? And so then we stopped at Walmart and got like some tarps that he requested and some duct tape. Because like the main damage was like he had some windows that got shattered, and then
His fence is gone.
His fence was just no longer. Obviously, we couldn't do anything about that. So, and it wasn't raining anymore. So,
side note about like Walmart, it was like 10 p.m. And I know Meg and I go to bed relatively early, like I know that. But I'm just like, what are y'all doing at Walmart at like it's 10 p.m. on a Tuesday or on a Monday?
Why are we here?
There's a kid here. Why is he up? So it's just funny because Meg and I like we're in our rooms at 9 o'clock, and like I try to be asleep at like 10.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what are you guys up for?
So
and
then
it's funny because like Vegas had been asleep for like an hour, and then like we're getting ready to go head out, and he's like waking up and he's like, what's going on? He's whining a little bit.
Don't worry. Anyways, so we got to our dad's house. I was like, dang, this was kind of worse than I was expecting.
We
but also,
turned
like,
to go down
he
the
told
street,
us-
and there's like cars lining the street, trees all down by the curb lining the street.
Kind of like
people
for it
on
being-
houses.
Yeah, it's like 10 o'clock at night. It's a busy street. And then from there, our tarps I don't think got used once because our dad actually had different tarps that we ended up switching out for. So he has a 2-story house. We had a shattered window on the second story and a shattered window right below it on the first floor. And my dad was on the ladder because he was like, okay, we're going to screw a tarp outside the windows to make sure nothing gets in. And he was making me kind of nervous on that ladder. Mostly because he was trying to be dumb. Not trying to be dumb, but like he was being dumb. And what I mean by that is like, obviously he's on a tall ladder because he needs to be up at like the second story. And myself and then our brother-in-law were helping to like hold the ladder in place. That was fine. Like that's safe.
Then he's trying
But
to
then,
adjust the tarp like
the tarp-
underneath.
He's trying to get it like, pulled tight. And so it needs to be like kind of underneath where the ladder is at. So he is trying
He's pulling the ladder away from
bounce
the
away
house.
from the house a little bit to then like get the tarp pulled underneath. And I was really just like, in my mind, and like this is me as a physical therapist and just kind of like knowing that people can get like life-changing injuries in an instant. So I'm like, I don't want you falling off this ladder and like getting a spinal cord injury is like where my mind was at. But he did not, obviously. We got it done. And so.
Well, it's funny because
Yeah.
there's also, so he has a hot tub that was like, A, also, it's ruined. But B, the hot tub is next to the window where it's like where he initially wanted to get the tarp situated required the ladder to be between the house and the hot
We can't
tub,
move the hot tub.
which is not
The
a
angle's
large
too steep.
space.
It's too steep of an angle.
And we were telling him that, and then he's like, no, it's fine, it's fine. And keep in mind, there's 4 of us, me, Megan, our brother-in-law, and our sister Haley. We're like,
We're
no,
all saying
this is not a good
you're
idea.
outruled, but he keeps saying, no, we're doing
He's setting the
this.
ladder up. He's climbing up, and like, what choice do we have? You guys are holding it in place. He gets up there, and he's like, you know what?
This is making me nervous.
I don't feel safe here. Which, he admitted that at least.
Yeah.
So that's good. So then we ultimately decided we would just do a longer wraparound so then he could move the ladder to a different spot on the side of the house. And it's functionally the same thing.
Anyways, we got it done. We left his house a little bit before midnight and then came back home. I was surprisingly not as tired as I was expecting to be this morning, which was
I
good.
feel like I'm usually tired in the morning anyways. I feel like I was about the same tired as I normally am, but I felt like my sleep was confusing. In the sense that, I don't know if I had like weird dreams. If I did, I couldn't recall them. But like, sometimes when you have like weird dreams, you just feel off.
Yeah.
That, and then also it was your turn to like let Vegas out and like do all that stuff. But I kept getting the vibe that it was my turn. So I kept like almost like getting up. And then I was like, no, it's not my turn. So I'd like lay back down.
I do think it took me kind of a while to actually like fully wake up to let him out. I will admit that.
So like, I think I kept hearing him. I was like, oh, like, I gotta go. I gotta go let him out. And then I was like, no, it's Megan's turn. So then I laid down. And I think that threw me off too. So that was our night. Do you have any other updates? We made some cookies. And those are good. We're vlogging this week also.
I think that's it. So I guess whatever we have planned, we can proceed.
Okay. So perception. You know, everyone has like that phrase. It's like, I do not wish to be perceived. We say that, I feel like, jokingly, but then obviously we post ourselves online, you know, asking to be perceived by basically everyone. Why do we do that?
I feel, and this could just be like me speaking from like an introverted perspective, but I feel like if you can develop a sense of like calmness or comfort with talking to a camera and being used to that and feeling like you can be authentic with yourself, I feel like it's just like a safe space for you to then say, this is who I actually am as a person. And sometimes that doesn't always come across, like if you're first meeting me in real life, or if I am more of my introverted self. And I don't know, for whatever reason, even though we are introverted, we have never had an issue being in front of a camera. Like, we've always been drawn to having cameras, being in front of cameras, and I don't know. We've liked posting whatever we can.
I think I agree with you for the most part. I think that in some ways it almost makes sense that we like are introverted, and like if you feel like people aren't, like, everyone obviously gets perceived, like no matter what you do, whether you're like presenting yourself doing something crazy extroverted or not, like people are going to perceive you either way based on how you're presenting yourself. But I feel like being in front of a camera and like posting content, A, puts you in control of like what is going out there, but B, because we were like introverted and like, I wouldn't say we're so much shy anymore, but we were definitely like shy when we were little. And so I feel like we use the camera and making videos and posting videos as a way to like express ourselves and like show ourselves, as embarrassing or not as, you know, it is now. But we were like, oh, like we want people to like have thoughts and have opinions on us and like respond to that.
I definitely know, especially like when we first were like getting started on YouTube and like posting videos, and like I'm talking about like young, like not even like, this was pre TC2, this was pre any complex thought, like when we would just like make home videos or whatever have you.
You know what I would be doing?
We wanted to be,
I was auditioning for every Disney thing under the sun.
Yeah.
When we were little.
We wanted to be famous. Like,
yeah.
To be honest. That's our original first YouTube videos. We were trying to copy Fred, basically. We just wanted to like do what was popular and like emulate it for ourselves to then try and become famous in some way, shape, or form. I don't know why we so
like
badly
clearly
wanted that.
We don't have that like drive to be famous anymore.
But
and I mean, it's a very popular,
kids,
like a lot of
like,
little kids want to be famous. So
we weren't probably unique in that sense, but I do remember that being like a driving factor. I don't think that's where like the initial love for the camera came about, because honestly, like we didn't know about YouTube at first. I feel like we even were using and recording ourselves on video before we watched YouTube. Before, I used to feel like YouTube was not a safe space. I was like, YouTube's a bad website. It's like,
I feel like YouTube was like giving me like MTV energy.
Yeah.
And I was like, MTV is not good, and YouTube is also not good. Because I feel like I remember my first recollection, this is kind of going on a tangent, but like my first recollection of YouTube consists of Scary Car and the Avril Lavigne music video for Girlfriend. Those are like, I remember like our old house, we had that big recliner chair in front of the desk, and like Haley would be on the computer and we'd be like behind her shoulder, like looking at what she was doing, and she'd be like clicking around on YouTube
and be like, what are you doing?
That was my first memory. But like otherwise, okay, when we were younger, obviously like YouTube has been around for a while, and that was like arguably our first form of social media, but like social media kind of came up as we were growing up, and like what you post online is like creating a new way to be perceived by people who know you or people who don't know you. And
I'm having flashbacks right now.
Of what?
Do you remember when we were in like our Tumblr girl Instagram era?
Yes.
And it's like, what kind of content is that?
And like for who?
Right.
I remember I posted
like,
a picture of sunscreen.
I feel like I wish I could like get back into like my headspace of like, was I posting that?
It's about perception.
Because
why did you wanted to be perceived as one of those like cool,
I feel like at the time
Tumblr
was like just a very popular website, and like there was such a specific style of photography that did well. It was like very bright. A lot of it was like objects or faceless types of like outfit photos, and in order to try and like have a nice curated cute aesthetic Instagram that I don't know if it was more so for, because I don't know how many followers I had, like, personally versus, like, from YouTube or not. I don't know if I was like, this is how I'm going to grow my Instagram, is by posting these types of pictures.
See, I feel like I would guess, at least the way I thought about Instagram, I never, at least at that time, in, like, middle school, probably thought about Instagram, like, growing on that separately. I think I thought of it as, like, an extension for YouTube. Like, oh, my followers on YouTube will come and follow me on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
But I still did care about, like, the types of stuff that I was posting. Now I obviously look at it and I'm like, ew, why would I post that? But, you know, we all have those moments where we look back on social media and, like, it was of the times trying to post these, like, brightly colored and filtered Tumblr-esque photos. Like, I was just trying to be an internet girly.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think, like, in what ways, either versus, like, when you were younger versus now, do you feel you present yourself differently or the same?
I feel like in the same way, as much as I try to make Instagram casual, like, I can only go so casual. Like, it needs to be, for me personally, like, some level of, like, this is thought out. This is something I think looks nice and is visually pleasing. Like, that's always been something that matters to me. There's just been different ways that, like, in the past, it was, like, very curated, inspired Tumblr photos, and then it's transitioned more to now. I mean, I be using the G7X, like, all the time now. I also used to, I'd have to, like, scroll back on, like, I need, like, a timeline of my Instagram right now. But we used to go sometimes on, like, photo outings. And I know that people and influencers still do this today because it's, like, realistically hard to get consistent content to upload on a regular basis. And then there was a certain point in my life where I was like, I am not doing this anymore. I am not doing, like, the throwback photo post just to have a curated Instagram feed. And so now I try to post, like, only timely photos that, like, are recent, or, you know, photo dumps have kind of helped stretch that out a little bit more if you don't have, like, things you want to post at one time. But I still have very, like, intentional edits, intentional photos I share. Having a digital camera has probably helped to make it so that I like the photos more easily than I may be used to for using, like, an iPhone, because that's usually what I take all of my pictures on now. But it just means it takes less time for me to get a good picture.
What's interesting, and this is, like, going back to the idea of, like, perception in general, you talk about photo dumps, and, like, there's also, like, that movement, not quite as popular anymore, but, like, keeping Instagram casual. And arguably, like, there's some people who follow that trend where it's like they were keeping it pretty casual, like, not caring about the aesthetics of a photo at all, and just, like, almost like you open up the Instagram app, take a picture, which, like, whoever does that? No one. And then, like, post it. But there's also, like, that flip side where it's, like, the people who are keeping Instagram casual, but
they
in a
always
way,
had a thought of what they were doing.
In a way that makes it, like, look like you're so effortless. But you're like, oh, like, that's, like, it's not edited, but, like, it's still, like, the shot looks nice. But, like, I guess you could have flipped your phone out and just, like, took that on a whim and, like, posted it. And that's kind of impressive. And how are you so effortlessly cool? And that's, again, perception. They wouldn't most of the time. This is me maybe projecting. But, like, you wouldn't post a photo that, or, like, a dump that, quote unquote, effortless unless you, like, had put some thought behind it. Like, there's just some effort required.
Yeah.
And, like, I've fallen victim to, like, you know, I follow people that I'm like, oh, that was a good dump.
That was the shot.
Like, I'm jealous of your life, and, like, I'm envious of how effortless this all seemed for you, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm like, I gotta remember, it's all perception, and they curated this post and this dump specifically to look as though it did not require any effort, but it did. Outside of social media, we can talk about perception within different areas of your life, or, like, around different people. And I mean, this is, like, not a new concept. You want to, in general, like, present yourself differently around different people. If you're in a professional setting, you want to present yourself in a way that's non-offensive typically.
Yeah,
and
you want to appear knowledgeable of whatever it is that you're the expert in. It's hard because it's, like, with coworkers, like, you want to be professional, but then it's also, like, to some degree, like, you're
there are
so
some people who are so, like, unapologetically themselves that, like, I imagine they are the same in almost every single facet of their life. And like in some ways you kind of have to respect it. And like I just wonder, I'm like, how do you get away with that? Like, not that they're being disrespectful or rude, but like they're doing things that in my mind at least I would be like, I would not do that in a professional setting. But then you're like, I guess whatever.
Like, how I like to present myself in work is like, I try to be authentic to myself. I try to, you know, converse not just strictly about work with coworkers, but I'm kind of like, I almost present myself in like a way that there's layers there, because you don't unlock every facet of who I am at work. I keep things compartmentalized so that I keep work separate from my personal life. But, you know,
I always get really curious
every once in a while,
because I would say more about you and I are the same, where it's like our work is very much our work. My coworkers are my coworkers that I'm friendly with, but I would not call them friends necessarily. Mm-hmm. Versus like I know people that I follow just like online that I'm friends with, that like their work and like their people they work for, you know, the exact company that I'm talking about, like they are friends, they are like doing social outings together, like, and their company is like almost built around like this community that they built. Maybe you don't know who I'm talking about.
I don't. I'm trying to think of who you're talking about, and
well, I can elaborate when we're done. But like, I can't tell if I would love that or hate that, because I'm obviously they must like each other if they're willing to do that. But like, it's all very much linked to the company.
I think it's completely healthy to want to have that separation, because like oftentimes, even if you love your job, like we're all working for the sake of having an income and earning money usually. And so whether people like to admit it or not, people probably don't always want to think about work, and it's hard, especially for people who can't compartmentalize, to then like not be able to like shut a door or like visually just like not have anything that reminds them of work, because like then they don't have like a mental escape or like an emotional release.
You need a reprieve. You know, I always joke about like, I'm like, if my work had like a lunch or like a dinner that like we were invited to after work hours, like I'm not getting paid, I'm like, why would I go to that? Mm-hmm. And like, not to say like I never would, but I'm just like,
it wouldn't be
I'm
like
not getting paid and I'm just supposed to be there. I've got free time that I would rather do other stuff. But then more so you have done this than me, because like Megan's company,
there's been like coworker baby showers, or like if people are like moving on to a different company or a different thing, then like I've gone to like little send-offs, and I don't have to do that, but I do it because it's kind of, I also like, I do like my coworkers, but I also admit that it's like I don't usually see them like outside of that either, so that's kind of my happy medium balance.
As we have grown up online, and like we started online when we were in middle school, like 12 years old. We're now 24, which is crazy.
That's half my life.
If I would go back, or you know, when I have kids, I would not recommend they get online that young. But you know, the internet was new and crazy, and no one told me, and I didn't tell anyone.
Yeah, honestly, that's how we operated.
We're like, I'm just posting a video, and my dad literally knew nothing. My mom, we were like recording the videos at her house. I don't know that she just like knew we were posting them anywhere. I think she just saw us recording stuff, and then
no questions.
Yeah, she's like, okay. But we have clearly like grown up and aged online, and like I don't know that, I mean, obviously our content has changed with what we've posted, just like based off of our interests and, you know, navigating life. But do you think that we have changed what we're posting to change like people's perception, or to like monitor people's perceptions, or like, or what they can perceive of us? Or do you think we've always like kept it pretty open?
I feel like we've always kept things pretty open. I mean, here's the thing. I kind of feel like sometimes, I'm trying to think of like a real life example, but I'm having a hard time honestly thinking of an example of like a creator, for example. I'm honestly thinking of like JoJo Siwa right now. I feel like there are certain people, or like Miley Cyrus transitioning from Disney Channel, there are certain people who kind of like, they've grown up and had like this set image and are making a conscious decision that like they are no longer that image, or they no longer want to like have people perceive them that way. And that's like a drastic example, but because, you know, Miley Cyrus was like in the child entertainment industry. And now she's trying to say, like, I want to have a larger audience. I want people who are not just children to, like, be my fans. So I feel like that kind of was something that forced her into making that decision, versus we've always kind of been of the mindset, I would say, where it's like, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, and whoever wants to follow along with me in doing that is welcome to join. I don't think we had, like, an active shift in trying to get a new audience.
Mm-hmm. I feel like this is actually interesting, talking about TC2 and, like, child audience and stuff. Because I feel like I struggled with how people were perceiving me, like, the older we got, posting on TC2.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I very much struggled with that, because obviously when we first started, we're 12, 13, whatever, we're doing gymnastics, like, we are children making children's content. Not necessarily because that's what we were even watching, because we really didn't watch a ton of gymnastics content. I mean, granted, when we started, there just wasn't a lot of gymnastics content, and so we just liked doing gymnastics, so we were like, we'll make it ourselves. And then, clearly, other young children,
We had there was something going on.
Some big brain
up
energy
here.
going on. Other children also interested in gymnastics were searching up content, and we were at the forefront, arguably, and that's, like, I think why our channel was as successful as it was. And, like,
Right
obviously,
place, right time, because, like, gymnastics is just not what it was on YouTube.
right. And obviously, we get more popular, like, and there's no, like, identity crisis, I would say, until we're, like, in high school, I would say. And even in high school, it was more so, like, we were still doing gymnastics, and I even felt fine, like, making children's content, because I was like, I mean, I'm literally just a teenager, so, like, whatever. It was more so, like, that was also the era of, like, the weird, crazy videos and, like, challenges and skits and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so you try to find what's popular and then make it fit for what's you, which, like, would I always watch videos like that? Was I interested in that kind of content? Not necessarily. Like, I mean, every once in a while, like,
Yeah.
you see that kind of video and you click on it. But it was, like, this identity crisis almost of, like, you know, it's a job at this point, and we're, like,
You
very
want
popular
to be successful
within this category. So you have to, like, almost say, okay, as a job, I'm going to put my own personal, like, opinions, thoughts, and whatever behind, and, like, put forth this content that I think will perform well. And there, I would say, like, out of the entirety of our TC2 channel, there's, like, what, 700 videos or something? There are, like, very few videos, if any, that am like, I wish we never made that. But it's, like, there's some videos that are embarrassing, there's some videos that are cringy, like, but, like, that's just also
I also
the
feel like
nature
that
of
was
what
just
it
kind of
is.
like, yeah. Anyone who's on YouTube in 2014 through 2017, I feel like just knows what the content was at the time.
And then when we really get into, like, the identity crisis of it all and, like, the worry about perception is when we get into college, and then, like, we got through our first year of grad school doing TC2 videos. And again, TC2,
And that was like a constant state of, like, I don't know what we're doing.
yeah, TC2 was, like, obviously our job. It did at certain points very well for us. And so, like, we didn't want to, it was also, like, this battle of, like, YouTubers had quit before, like, very popular YouTubers, but, like, it wasn't a very common thing to, like, stop posting. We had tried a couple times to, like, pivot the content, and it never did well, and we'd always kind of circled back to, like, what we were not even comfortable with, but, like,
What we knew.
Like, we are the gymnastics channel on YouTube, so, like, we don't know what else to post.
Even though none of us did gymnastics or cheer anymore.
And so I was always just, like, worried from a perception perspective. I was like, gosh, like, what do people who, like, oh, I wonder what TC2 is doing, like, and they're like, they're still doing gymnastics and cheer content, and they're, like, 20, 22 years old or whatever, how long we're doing it. And I'm just like, I tried to, and again, I'm not embarrassed that we, like, did it for as long as we did it. We didn't know what to do, so we just kept doing it.
Yeah.
It was, like, easier to just keep going than to figure out how to stop, until we were like, I actually have 0 ideas. That's why we stopped. It was because we're like, I have 0 ideas for what to post, so we're not posting. Then we basically stopped. This is, like, very, very premature, but, like, we are still in talks with Maggie of, like, doing something related to TC2.
It's just more so because I think we all are really proud of, like, what we did and have done with that channel. You know, it's no small feat to get 2 million subscribers, and to, you know, have had the success that we had, it feels wrong to just like let it sit there and die and wither away. And, you know, we have been letting it do that. And
but like, how can we make content that is relevant to the channel, like educational or informative or entertaining for our audience, but then still like no one's gonna say like, why would they post that? Yeah. Like, what's appropriate for us to post being 24, 25? Yeah.
Like, we've talked more so, it probably would not be anything super consistent. I don't imagine. It might kind of come in like little spurts of like series almost, if that makes sense, when we do have something that we feel could be like a fully formed idea. And what works in theory right now, what we think would be best is like to kind of focus on quote unquote evergreen content, if you guys have heard of that keyword. But it's like, obviously skits and challenges, like those are the things that are going to come and go. They will have popularity and then it's going to be gone. People who are, you know, no matter where they're at in their gymnastics career, new people start gymnastics, people quit gymnastics, and then there's younger kids that start it up again. And then, so things like tutorials are always evergreen.
People are always looking up how to do a cartwheel.
We've looked back at like, even in our worst of times almost, of like, we were struggling when we were posting videos then. If we had a tutorial, guess what? It has made its way into like the higher viewed videos, because that's what happens with stuff like that over time. So, tutorial wise, our 1-day tutorials have always been videos we're really proud of. They do well. We've talked about maybe possibly trying to do stuff like that, and like just I mean, some of the skills we could probably do. So we're not sure if like some things we would do ourselves or some things we would want to just like be a coach with someone else there.
But like, we're trying
all,
to
like, early on.
Yeah, this is like,
but it's just kind of like
we have these conversations about how can we be authentic to ourselves and like still authentic to the channel and the audience. Mm-hmm. We need everything to align. So that's what we're hoping for. So that's just like an example of like,
and I do like the two most recent videos we did on there, that I would say were kind of more so us trying to be like, okay, high production, we want quality to be first and foremost. I do like those videos, so I just kind of want that to be at the forefront of what we're doing if we continue to try and post videos on that channel.
Yeah. And I mean, for our Megan and Ciera channel, we're very lucky that like we like pretty much just do lifestyle stuff. Like, we have always presented ourselves in a way that I feel is authentic to A, just like who I am and how I live my life, but then B, for you guys to like perceive me as realistically as like anyone off the street would perceive me. That's my intention. I don't try to do too much on the vlogs to alter my personality. Megan doesn't either. So, shoot, I had like a question or something related to perception that I now, or like our vlog or something that I can't remember.
Do you have other stuff you wanted to talk about before we try and break our
hearts?
I
remember my last thing. This is more so interesting how like sometimes people want to perceive you in a way that's like inauthentic to who you are. And what I mean by this, and like how I feel like I experienced this, is kind of related to like growing up online. But some people, like as we age and stuff, like, and we're posting, you know, us through high school, us through college and whatever, people are like, oh, like be real and like talk about X, Y, and Z topics that like as you get older, people like tend to ask about. Mm-hmm. And in my head, I'm like, A, sometimes I'm not comfortable sharing like that kind of stuff. But then like B, you're assuming things about me. Like mostly when it comes to like college and stuff, you're thinking like, oh, like, are you going to parties? And like, you're not sharing like what you're doing is like what people are saying. But then you're like, well, I'm not posting that because it's not like what I'm doing. And you worry about more so like the perception of people are like, oh, like, do they think I'm like a Debbie Downer? Like I'm boring.
I'm lame.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
I kind of forgot I even like dealt with that when we were in undergrad.
Yeah.
There was a fair number of people that would just be like, make sure you guys are having fun.
Yeah, they're like, go do stuff. Like, I'm just like having this like internal crisis of like, I'm just posting what I'm doing.
And I didn't think anything of it.
Yeah.
Until you guys went and...
Now you're making me think like I should be doing other stuff. But then I'm like, but I don't want to do... I want to do what I'm doing. Like, so that was always interesting. And I know a lot of other YouTubers have like dealt with that worse than us. And in some ways it's because like they do, like, let's say if they're like in college and they start drinking or partying or whatever, as is normal for a lot of students. Not that I condone it necessarily, but like it's, you know, pretty common.
And therefore it would be smart to not post anything online.
But people
digital footprint is real, you guys.
But then their commenters are like, I wish you would be real about like what you're doing. Like, we're all doing it. And then it's like they don't want to like out themselves like that. And so people like perceive them in a negative light because they think they're hiding stuff or lying, and they're just trying to be smart. So that was like always. Are you like reading through?
Yeah, I'm like getting
I'm
glimpses.
nervous.
I haven't even.
Okay, well before we get into stuff, we have to say, now that we've talked about it enough, how do we feel people have perceived us through the years? How do they perceive us now? Do we feel like we need to preemptively defend ourselves against any perceptions?
Defend myself against how people perceive me, because I feel like I do feel like I can I feel like I present myself realistically and genuinely, and like any criticisms that other people have of me, I probably already have of myself. Okay. So you can disagree.
No, I feel like if I had to say how I think people perceive me, I hope that like most of it's probably hopefully positive, because I try to present myself in a way that is positive.
This is like a side tangent, and I feel like I'm not remembering the correct verbiage, but because you know how we've both talked about how we don't feel like we need therapy. Yeah. There's like a word or a phrase of, I'm not gonna fully remember what it is, but I saw a TikTok one time where it was like a therapist, I don't know like their exact qualifications or what, but it was saying how like people who basically are like super intellectualized and self-aware don't benefit from normal cognitive behavioral therapy as other people do. And so
is that you justifying why you don't need therapy?
No, it was saying sometimes they should try different kinds of therapy where it's more focused on like emotions and letting yourself feel things. I don't really know what that means, or like I don't know what that means or what the therapy looks like, but I was kind of like, interesting. There probably is like a therapy for me, then that would be maybe better.
I feel like you almost, and this is like why I would need to like try it. I feel like you sometimes don't know what you need therapy for until you're in therapy. But that seems stressful to like have a therapy session every week. I'd be like scared. I get like the scaries about it. I just generally, I'll go quickly. I think people perceive me hopefully as someone who is intelligent. If you can hear my stomach grumbling, I apologize. Hopefully
these mics are usually pretty good.
We've had trains go by in our apartment and you can't really hear it, so I'm hopeful. I feel like I hope people perceive me as intelligent. Honestly, potentially like derogatory. You know what I mean?
We've been doing this a lot recently.
Parenthetical derogatory. I do think in some ways I probably come off as like conceited, or like I know that I'm smart and I probably like let people know that I think I'm smart. You know what I mean? And so I know some people would like not take that well.
I feel like this probably wouldn't come off a lot in the vlogs, but it's something that I know about myself and I've been told by others enough to know that, like, especially if you first get to know me, I would not be surprised if people think I'm judgmental, because I low-key probably am. I just, like, as a person, I'm usually, introverts are. Usually they're quiet because they are sitting back watching everyone else and observing and making opinions.
They're perceiving everyone around them, and they are making judgments based off those perceptions. I would think people think that I'm level-headed, mostly because I've like, you know, I've seen comments of like, you girls have your feet are on the earth and whatever they say. You know what I mean? Like,
got a good head on your shoulders.
Your parents raised you well, whatever they say. And I do feel like I feel that way. I feel like I've been raised well and present myself as such. I think the worst perception that people probably have of both of us is that we're like dependent on one another. Would be like if I had to pick like a negative perception that people would have, that'd probably be it.
Do you agree with that?
No, I mean, I can defend myself to the rooftops. The people who like think those things are not going to change their mind. And don't get me wrong, I see like where they're coming from. Like, we have lived together our whole lives. We've done like this stuff, content creation, YouTube stuff, like PT school. Like, I get it. I'm not stupid. I see where the perception is, where it comes from. My only comment would be that you don't live my life. You don't know me. You don't know Megan. And I guess we'll find out in a few years, if life changes.
Okay.
You can make your judgments then. If we end up both married, living in a duplex, then, I guess you're right.
Okay. So someone said, how do you perceive us? They have it split into me and then you. So I said, Megan is a dreamer, wants to find love like the romance books, but definitely on the introverted side. That's why those men in the wild hunts feel awkward. She always wants to have something to look forward to because she gets bored of the everyday mundane work, cooking, working out schedule. She seems really down to earth and like she would be a great friend you could confide with. Okay, I will accept that. Ciera seems to be more strict with herself. She doesn't miss workouts and pushes herself to run faster miles, for example. Ciera is unapologetically herself. She will make it known if she doesn't like something or if something bothers her. Example, she makes fun of Megan not knowing pop culture, and she has strong opinions about other people's relationships.
What's funny is I feel like maybe this is just me, I feel like my perception is that you're more of that than me.
What, a hater?
Yeah.
She also seems like she would be a great friend to, and someone who's down to do adventures with, but is okay having repetitive, relaxed days.
Do you feel like you're looking for love in the romance books?
I am. Yeah.
To be for real, yes. Are you in the responses or the DMs?
I am in the DMs right now.
Should I go to the responses?
Sure.
Okay. Find your next one, and I'll have mine pulled up. Okay. So someone said, I see you guys as role models. I'm 21, just finished PT school, and did competitive gymnastics as a kid.
Just finished PT school. When
That's
did we
what I was
finish
like.
PT school? Dang.
How are you 21 just finished? We were...
Sometimes different countries have different things, though. I don't know.
We were 22, but we were early, so
yeah.
I don't know.
Congrats.
Someone said you have a routine and lifestyle down and are put together. I feel like, in general, I feel like I've got things kind of like figured out for now.
Things are put together for me. I would agree with that.
I
feel like everything I can control, I have put together in every way, shape,
controlled. Someone said young women who don't want to do anything but party, drink, and have fun all the time and do. That's an interesting perception.
Do you watch my content?
I thought, I was reading that first and thought they were going to say, like, don't do any of that stuff. And here's the other thing that I have issue with. Let me get on my soapbox.
Ciera does get on her soapbox.
That one comment that was like, oh, Ciera, like, it's not being a hater, but these comments, the opposite of this comment, actually. I feel like people perceive us.
Do you wonder if they're trying to do it to, like, I'll let you finish.
Let me finish. This is the opposite of this comment that I'm addressing. So this person said their perception is that we don't want to do anything but party, drink, and have fun. I don't know where that perception comes from. And, like, again, no hate to anyone. What bothers me, honestly, is, like, the perception that is the opposite of this, where people think that we, like, hate everything related to partying and alcohol and whatever. And I don't care that much.
I need to stop saying I don't drink and anything dating related, because I only say that as, like, I feel like it explains, like, socially which situations I am going to put myself in. But then, God forbid, like, someone's like, oh, and by the way, like,
they're like, I rarely drink, or like, I'm like, or I literally don't care. I don't care.
They could drink right in front of me. I do not care.
Like, I will have beer in my fridge for them. I genuinely, as long as they're not alcoholic, I don't care.
Last year, and my Hinge profile says I don't drink because I just, have the spot for it. I feel like, let me be realistic. I don't even say sometimes because, like, to be honest, I don't drink.
And, like, it is genuinely not that deep, guys.
Okay? And so we went on a first date to, like, it wasn't a bar, but it was like a bar restaurant kind of thing. So, they have, like, I'm pretty sure it was like a freaking brewery, okay? They have a lot of alcohol and alcoholic options there. Did they not get
anything to drink?
And so when I was just saying I was going to get, like, a water or a pop or whatever it was I got, he asked me, like, oh, do you not drink? And then I said, no, but, like, I don't care. And then he was like, oh, no, like, I won't get anything either.
You're like, that's the other thing I have. I was like, this is unrelated. Anytime I feel like we are with friends, family, whoever, and, like, we're at a restaurant, you and I obviously, like, we're going to get a Coke.
Guess what I'm getting?
But then, like, when they don't order a drink, I'm like, do you want a drink? Like, you can. I've had that, like, thought sometimes where I'm like, are you only, like, not getting a drink because, like, we're not getting a drink? But then, like, I know some people don't like to drink without other people, which is weird to me, but
I'm like, be decisive on what you want.
Right? I'm like, get whatever you want. Anyway, that was my annoyance, is that sometimes I feel like people take those comments of like, we don't do X, Y, or Z, and they're like, oh my God, like, you know, you don't have to worry about drinking. And I'm like, most people in my family drink. Like,
they will drink around me. I don't care.
Like, it's fine. If we're at a restaurant, get whatever you want. If we're at home and you want to crack open a cold one, I do not care. It does not bother me at all. I have just made the decision, not for health reasons. It is quite literally because I don't like the way it tastes.
And that is like, it. We don't want to like drink to get drunk, because I know some people are like, well, I don't really like the taste either. But then you like the little,
like, you know, like the buzz that it gives you, which is fine. As long as you drink
whatever you want.
Drink responsibly. But like, it bothers me that is the perception of like people like think that we're like some like high strung, like want no alcohol around me whatsoever.
Or there's like trauma associated with it. Like for us, no.
And I'm just like, it's literally fine.
So. It's so not serious.
So,
okay, someone said, I had to send this message because it was too long to fit. They've watched us for 6 years now, but don't comment often. I wanted to say that genuinely you guys are so fun to listen to. I feel like I'm talking to the girls even though I'm not responding. I wish you could hear me sometimes because I audibly laugh when you make jokes. I perceive you both as very independent and like you have it together, but you both want a little spice in your life. Basically, the perfect main characters for a romance novel. I can't wait till you each get yours.
Oh my God, this is the nicest thing anyone has ever said ever.
Why do you look like you're about to cry? That was very sweet. Thank you so much if you said that.
I'm going to screenshot that
and save that for later.
Put it on make it my background. Except you know that's not true. Okay. Someone said, shy in general, but the life of the party when you're comfortable. I'm never the life of any party. No. Meg and I were actually just talking the other day amongst ourselves. And I was like, Megan, do you consider yourself a funny person? And we just kind of got into like this conversation of like, obviously there are people who are the life of the party, the class clown, whatever. And like their goal is to make people laugh. Mm-hmm. And I think we've both decided my goal is never to like get everyone like laughing at me. But I like the occasional witty comment.
Because you like to be intellectual. And humor signals intellect.
It actually does.
I know. That's why I said
that. Basically, I just want people to laugh because they think I'm smart. Is what I'm getting at. And so I said, and
Ciera took a humor class. So
I bring it up often. But I'm like, I try to make a witty comment here and there to like get a chuckle.
Yeah.
I'm more here for the chuckles and not the laughter. That's what I try to get after.
Since yours are shorter, do you want like?
Yeah, I can do it. Speed run up a couple. Someone said, as challengers, because you're both challenging yourselves right now to see who gets a man. I feel this is sort of a short-sighted, not short-sighted perception, but like it's very
of the moment because we're making content and
I think we're challenging each other though. We're challenging each other to get out there, but we're not like doing a competition between each other.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So, however you meant that.
Okay. Someone said, oh, this is interesting. I love this idea and think about this often too. But as a fellow soon-to-be physical therapist, I love watching your guys' videos. They're calming and motivating, and I relate a lot. I see you both as very put together and smart and know what you want. Very independent and self-aware, but like myself, I think we all don't truly see ourselves as how great we are and how others see us. I think Megan is more assertive and leader versus Ciera, but all great qualities nonetheless.
I do think you're more assertive than me. You're just more decisive. Or like maybe that means I just care less.
I would agree with that. We're both type A, but I'm more type A.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of like traveling stuff because I was actually just thinking today of like
I was starting to initiate our birthday travel plans.
I know, but I was thinking today like we maybe need to like actually get on that.
Someone said, I perceive you as overachievers, nice and focused individuals. Someone said very put together and sure of yourselves. You're motivated, driven, and know what you want to do and be very responsible. I would say, I mean, obviously like motivated. I try to be high achieving. I feel like now that I have graduated PT school and like I am a physical therapist, I'm like, I did it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm like, I've capped out of like, I got a good career. I'm pleased with it. I went to grad school. That was like, you know, a lot of work. So now I feel like I just wear it as a badge and it's less of like an actual practice. I still like, you know, try my best each day at work to do right by my patients, do all that stuff. But like in what ways would you say like you're a high achiever now? Like it's almost hard to quantify.
It is hard to quantify. I definitely like as much as I feel like I haven't changed, I kind of am like,
I feel like I've been
high school through
complacent since getting a
college
job.
was really like, we were always like go go go, and like
And it's
we
honestly,
needed and wanted like a million and one things to do and focus on, versus now I feel more just like steady and ready to like, I don't always need
relax.
to be go go go, and I'm going to be fine.
I feel like for better or for worse, we were good students. We got into grad school. I've told you guys I think I'm smart. Like, I feel like that is the narrative that I've shaped, and that's how you guys therefore perceive me. But like, now that I have a job, it's like, how do you quantify like that? I don't know. But I mean, I'm flattered.
I have read all of the long ones.
Someone said, I feel like neither of you curse. I don't know why. I just get the vibe. You're actually right. I think
Not
we've
often.
talked about. I do to myself.
Yeah.
And it's usually like a one-off. Again, this is the other thing related to drinking, whatever. If you don't curse, then like people are like, oh my God, I'm so sorry for saying that around you. And I'm like, I literally don't care.
All of my family like curses plenty.
I'm just like, do whatever you want. Like, if something offends me that much, like, I will tell you. So cursing is another thing that I forgot about. I feel like
I used to have
talked
like,
about this
and
before.
granted we were younger, so like this makes sense. But like if songs had like swear words in them, like I wouldn't sing them. And now I usually do. I have a bubble in my throat.
I think we've talked about this before. I think that you get to an age like in middle school or wherever where like you start
You've
cursing or
decided.
you don't. And at that age, I was still like too, like I felt like it was a bad thing to do, so I didn't. And then I just never did. And now it would be weird to start cursing or cussing. I feel like weird saying both those words because I'm like, I always said cussing growing up, and then like no, I feel like more people say cursing now, so I don't know which one more people use. You guys know what I mean.
Juvenile either way.
But basically it's like usually I only would say like a one-off curse word if I like get hurt or something, or like if I'm very frustrated.
Yeah, and that's usually like under my breath to myself.
Yeah. But like I don't use it in conversation. Like if I did, it would sound weird. And at that point, it would be like more like if my family and friends know that I don't curse. And so like if they were to hear me like say something randomly, then they'd be like, where did that come from? And I'd be like, I don't know where that came from. And I feel like it would, I mean, I genuinely just don't think about it. Like it's either in your vocabulary and you use it without thinking about it, or it's not in your vocabulary, so you just don't think about it. And therefore I don't curse because that's not my vocabulary. So I've got probably a couple more and then I'll be done. You're both very career focused, but Ciera is more serious than Megan. I don't know if that meant serious as in career or serious. Just
I don't work
generally.
quite as much as Ciera does, so
Yeah. Focused on career, I would say like I have a job, and that is the extent of like my career focus. I spent a lot of time getting
neither
to
of
this
us
career.
are pursuing like, sometimes the more you're in therapy, like you could pursue like director type positions or more managerial positions. Neither of us are, at least at this time, interested in that. So
Someone said too picky. Someone else said
probably
picky and judgmental when it comes to men.
did I just say
Feels
that?
like you won't even talk to us unless we're hot AF.
This is personal.
You know what?
Here's the thing.
Honestly,
you're a person online. I owe you nothing. I'm just being
okay, Megan
serious.
has own
I'm being
judgmental.
I already said that.
And do I want to be attracted to the person I'm interested in? Yeah. Sorry.
I feel like, I don't know, and we've talked about this before. It can grow, but also, I would need to know you in person, okay, for that to happen. Second of all, initially attraction, it's like, it's either there or it's not. I can't help that. I can't help it.
Someone said self-sufficient, independent, strong, focused, and content. I like the self-sufficient. Strong in what way? I don't know. Mentally, physically, whatever. All. But I'll take that as a compliment. Someone said, I'm kind of trying to skip past a couple that are kind of the same stuff. You guys have better mental health than a lot of us that are the same ages as you, which is an interesting perception. But I think we've been open. Like we are very fortunate that we don't suffer from like depression, anxiety, or like anything like that. So if you do,
best wishes.
I am not kidding. That sounds so bad.
I don't know what to say.
You.
I empathize with you, and yeah,
wish you the best. Maybe you should look into therapy. Maybe we should. They had a little saluting emoji.
Salute to you.
Before college, young, fun girls who were excited for life and where YouTube could take them. After college, I see you guys as young women who understand the world and who they are.
Okay, I was worried.
You were getting scared?
My face was like, there was some reaction there of like, there's going to be like and now you guys are like complacent, settled.
You give up.
Yeah, but I will accept that.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to go to the bathroom, so like we need to finish up.
I'm sorry. This is just more interesting than I thought it'd be. Okay. That's, for the most part, they're all the same. But thank you guys for the nice comments. Honestly, thank you to those who had some stuff that we disagreed with, because that's what this is all about. Thank you guys for joining with us for the episode. I had fun. I hope you guys did too.
Let us know what other kinds of episodes you would like us to do, and you can DM us or reach out to us or comment on our posts, and we'll probably see it. So
until then, we'll talk to you guys on Thursday. Bye.
Bye.